Hey folks, Marty Nowicki from Impact Snap. I want to talk to you about a real powerful backswing move that if you implement this into your game, I know it will both add to consistency and will add to some yardage. We got Tommy Fleetwood on the left and Inbee Park on the right. And, you know, what I always like drawing up an A-frame to see, okay, where are people's bodies moving when they go into their backswing? The head swivels a little bit to the right, but watch what the right hip does and what the right side of his pocket does right at the top of his backswing. You can see how it starts actually moving to the left. So he creates a little bit more space between the line and his right hip than he does from setup. Inbee Park will do the same thing, where you might see an initial tiny little move off the ball, but then when you watch that turn, you'll see how she creates that nice space between the line and her right hip. That's a big deal because that actually loads the hip properly. It gets certain muscles to flex and be ready to react, so that as they start down, they have the ability to start turning their pelvis. Two things that I like looking at, and I'll stop them both around the same position. I'll back Inbee up just a couple more clicks, but you can see if I clear all this out, two things, that left femur, we've talked about this in other videos, that left femur is going from what we call internal rotation to external rotation. And that is a giant power source to keep the left side of the pelvis moving out of the way. So I'll take Tommy back also. So it's not just winding up, but the wind up is producing more things down the road. So how you wind up, yes, definitely important. Definitely pay attention if you're filming yourself on your iPhone or if you're using an app to measure. You know, make sure that trail hip is staying inside that line, and then we want to make sure that that unwind is proper, where the left femur turns the heck out of the way. We got Tommy hitting a driver. There's our lowercase letter y geometry. Here's Inbee with her lowercase letter y, able to turn away. You can see it's a little hard on Tommy, but you can see in Inbee's case with an iron, you always want to sense that your chest is facing out ahead of the golf ball. That helps the low point of the swing occur after the golf ball. So there's ball, then divot. And she is a sneaky long player for someone who appears always to be swinging in slow motion. But it's just how she unwinds the body, and a big part of unwinding is because she wound it up properly. You can see how that right hip turned back behind her. Left knee and femur are turning out of the way. Chest gets turned out of the way. And there's a big correlation behind the rate that chest turns and how much speed you can actually have with your driver. There's no doubt that the arms are the biggest power source, but we can actually multiply that by virtue of the speed that the chest turns at. I'll put up two more videos for you. That's Gary Player on the left. And we'll have, I'll put up Arnold Palmer on the right, and some of you may have seen this in one of my other videos, but I always like watching the rate that the chest goes from turning back to turning forward. Now, when players start the downswing, that's Gary Player on the left, Arnold Palmer on the right. Once they initiate that downswing, you can see how his chest is pointing that way. We're really looking for how fast can the chest turn from that position all the way to impact and beyond. And you'll note that Palmer's chest is now facing somewhere out in that direction, as is Gary Player's. A big part of their backswing position is how did their right hip load, and similar to the other video that I just showed you with NB and Tommy Fleetwood, you can see how much the right hip turns behind them. Pelvis again stays between the feet. Chest goes from facing toward the target. I'm sorry, away from the target, all the way toward the target. Now, top of the swing to impact is normally 0.25 seconds. You know, we're looking at top of the swing to post impact, or what we'll call follow through when both arms are straight. You can see how both chests are facing more toward the target at that moment in time. You know, that's happening at a very rapid speed. And here are two of the longer hitters throughout history, certainly of that era, long enough to win a lot of major championships. So pay attention to what your pelvis and what your spine is doing in the backswing. Videotape that from face on. Make sure your pelvis is staying between those two lines, because that will allow you to turn faster. Until next time, I'm Marty Nowicki from Impact Snap. Please leave your questions down below. By all means, hit the subscribe button, click the bell notification. That way you'll get notices next time we put out videos. What do your hands and arms look like right after you struck the golf ball? If they're bending all over the place, guess what? You have to film yourself and start correcting that. We have a product called the Impact Snap that trains your wrists to repeat a correct motion each time. Yellow ball hits the bottom of your arm, you're doing it correctly. Yellow ball misses your arm, you're flip rolling, changing your radius, changing all these measurements where the ball is. You want stability with your golf shots, you want consistency with your golf shot, you've got to get the wrist to repeat the same proper functions. ImpactSnap.com, use promo code YouTube and save 15% today.